And hello everyone, good to see you. I am back. I'm gonna dive into manipulating type in Photoshop, which is just so awesome. I'll show you how to do it in Illustrator as well. But yeah, this is gonna be really fun and I'm thankful you guys are here. This is the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with me. And by the way, all you need to do is go out to, let me switch to it right now. Right over here. By the way, the theme is all about Photoshop Summer Reading Program. That's essentially what's going on because I have all these fun lessons that we can learn, right? So it's taking books. I don't know if you guys like reading, sort of grabbing a book and heading out to the beach, social distancing, whatever, right? And making some cool book covers or whatever the case may be and learning a little bit. So we'll tell some stories. It'll be fun, right? Good to have you, Christian. Oh, there's my donut. Christian sent me a donut. Ah, delicious. Into it. Right, so that's what we're doing. It is your daily creative challenge. So let's kind of dive into this right now. You can see here's my desktop, and here's a number of the books that we're going to cover. We have Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Invisible Man, The Long Tomorrow, Island of Dr. Moreau. You could use really any text you want. I encourage you to kind of tell me your favorite book. A lot of these are fiction, 1984 by George Orwell. Yesterday we did The Picture of Dorian Gray. Today we're going to do The Lathe of Heaven, Ursula K. Le Guin. Big time science fiction writer, right? But you could do any sort of novel that you want, or any classic like sci-fi one. You could do what, Necromancer. Let me know if you guys have a really cool science fiction novel that you guys like, or any story for that matter. Could be Star Wars, that's fine. The Time Machine, Ender's Game, stuff like that. I don't know, War of the Worlds is another one. But we're going to do The Lathe of Heaven. I'm going to tell you the story of it as well. But what you're going to do is you're going to go out to this behance.net/Photoshop. Let me paste that in there. Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, sure. Into it. Awesome. So I just kind of pasted that in there. You can see it in the challenge tab there, but essentially it's the distorting text. We'll get started clicking right there. Here's our file. Like so, and we can go ahead and download that particular file. The Lathe of Heaven, Ursula K. Le Guin. So basically what happens in this novel, let me open this up, here it is whatever this guy dreams actually becomes a new reality the next day. Whatever he dreams comes a new reality. And nobody has any memory of what it was like before. So he's living with the memory of the tragedies and different things that have happened. And what happens, he goes, talks to this psychologist about it, and the psychologist ends up manipulating him and tries to get him to dream other things that he wants. So it's super fascinating. But the whole idea of having these new realities that become real day after day is fascinating to me. Okay, so we have this text right here. You could use it as well. Here we are, the title folder, right? Just has this content right in here. I kind of want to start from scratch as well. So I'll turn that off, and this will just be our nice background right in here. Click, and we can go ahead and type in lathe. So the lathe, each time it goes around kind of cutting deeper or making that new reality. But we know this is something that's going to kind of change over time. So I think this is going to have a lot of change and motion to it is the idea. Oh, we got Sherlock Holmes. Awesome. I like Sherlock Holmes. Grapes of Wrath. Stranger in a Strange Land. Oh, you guys are awesome. Oh, this is so good. Sorry I don't have time to read all of them. Ooh, The Martian. Is that what you're saying, Valentina? Very cool. So again, here we have this just with the word lathe. Type anything in. I've just been using the same font. If we go into properties, this is why I love the properties panel. I don't have to worry about opening up the character or paragraph or those other panels. Everything's going to be right in here. So the font I'm actually using is Anton. I can see it like so here. Okay, I can tell that it's Creative Cloud. Excuse me, an Adobe font is what this symbolizes, right? So go right in here. We know serif is going to be more modern, so that's, oh wait, sans serif, sorry, I'm losing my mind. Sans serif, and then we have all these others that we can play with, right? But kind of pick the font that you want, and guess what? You can filter out by just Adobe Fonts, but really you want to get more, click right here, bam. Open this up and go to the Adobe Fonts, type in lathe, right, and see what everything looks like right in here. So this is a really cool font as well. Anisette, right? I can view that family right in here, and I can activate this font. I love any font that gives me a ton of options, right? This is going to be really helpful to me. I'm really into this, like the T. Actually, I just like how random this is, right? So we can go ahead and activate this font, right? Activate all of them is what I'm doing. Okay, so just doing that. It's called Anisette. Go in here, and I can type in N-I-S. And then notice how you'll get really frustrated because it doesn't happen immediately. It's like, whoa, give it a second. Won't I? Give it a second. All fonts active. Should be active. Boom, boom, boom. A-N-I. Okay, so I'm kind of waiting for that to load in. And until it does, I'll just go with Anton. Very similar font, it's fine. Okay, cool. Anything by Philip K. Dick. Oh, he's done a lot. That's so cool. 1984. Hopefully Judith says that, because I think we're going to be covering that. So here's my text layer right here. Okay, and there's some things that we can do with it, right? So if I decide I want to distort it in some way, we do have this option right up here. So selecting this, create warped text. Click right there. It's going to warp this in the same way that Illustrator would, right? So we can do the lathe. Stretch that out a little bit more. So let's just have some fun right in here if you guys don't mind. I'm just going to have fun with this, right? Click OK. Command J will duplicate that layer. I'll move it down. Type in H-E-A-V-E-N. There we are. We have this arced upper, right? I could see that curve. For this bottom one, we're going to actually arc lower. So we're going to have this heaven lower at 65%. And we could drop that in like so. Holding down the Option key. There we go. Just one thought, Command J. Right? If at any point you want to reset this, because I want the word of, which I'm doing right now, I don't want it to be curved at all. Just don't distort it, right? So with that text tool selected, right up here, the same place where I actually added that arc, I'm going to change it back to none, and that will get rid of it. Right, there we are. Boom, boom, boom. Take that down like so. There we go. This is kind of the start of distorting text. Really easy to do, right? Keeping that pretty uniform, you get the idea. Cool. All right. Let's make sure everything is working. Let me know if you have any questions. Checking the status of everything. Fantastic. All right, so that one's pretty easy, right? I'll typically take that. We'll have those on separate layers because obviously it's going to give me more control. I can do a Command G to group them. And this is idea 1. Right? I could take this, just like the way I duplicate layers, I can do a Command J to duplicate an entire group, and we can have idea number 2 if I want to, right? So here's my next one. In fact, I might even take this one. Since you already have this text right here, now that you know how to make it, you can go ahead and move on up and deal with this title, which is what I'm doing right now, okay? There it is. Let's play with this word lathe. I really want to play with this word lathe a little bit more, okay? And that one might become my background. So right in here, boom, done. Taking this. Remember, this is alternate different realities for like each time he wakes up, right? So we can start distorting this different ways. Let's make sure that space is removed, and I can have some fun playing with this some more. So we'll flag it. There we are. Done. Command J. New one. making this one fish, right? Like that. Command J. Next one is going to be squeezed, right? Another reality. Command J. Again, going into twisting it as well. It's twisting it and bending it some more. So you'll get to this point. Oh, She-Hulk. I'm into comics, by the way. We could talk about comics all day long. That is today's science fiction, really. For sure. So I like this lathe. That's pretty cool. Let's turn that on. We have all these different versions, by the way. Let's turn all of them on. The nice thing about this is I could change this text at any time. Created these alternate realities. There we are. There we are. Okay, so what's cool about the recent update, anytime you click on another tool, it will commit that change. There we are. Clicking on another tool because I need to move it. There we are. There we are. Cool. We have all of those. They're all in this folder. I can change the blend mode to like overlay, for instance, and play with a different background. Right? There we go. Let's bring this down like that. So there we have it. All right. Can you create outlines for text like in Illustrator? You can roughly, but the cool thing that I love about Photoshop is you don't have to. Why do you do it in Illustrator? You have to break it apart to give you that full control. You don't have to do that in here, which is exactly what I'm going to show you. So here's all these different versions. Pretty cool, right? I want to have a new version, right? I'm going to have one up here, and let's just move this one down. Actually, you know what? For all of these, this is what I'm going to do. You ready for this? I'm going to take all of these layers, and this is the equivalent of like you're not really creating outlines. I'm going to convert this to a smart object, so it's going to protect everything, and then I get to manipulate it like it's an image, which is awesome. Right click, convert to smart object. Okay? Yeah, Keith, we can go full comic book if you want. I'm really into like all of the Thors, like all the Jason Aaron series of Thors are awesome. But I literally pretty much have a comic book room at my place, which is ridiculous. Right, so now this is a smart object and it's protected, which is great. So now we can go up here, we can go to filter and we can go into Liquify. So selecting Liquify, oh yeah, now we can go ahead and select any one of these options off to the side and really start to pull and push and manipulate. It's really going to be this tool right here, okay? And I use these like sort of pucker and bloat tools if you're used to Illustrator. And they're called pucker and bloat. Imagine that. Thanks, Adobe. Right, we'll just kind of pull some stuff down and really have some fun like manipulating this, right? Again, just different realities. This is just going to be the background for this novel, right? Pulling things around. And I love this one right here. So we could do the bloat, right? I could do a bloat right here, but if I hold down the Option key, it's gonna make it a pucker or pinch, right? So the Option key will do the opposite. Same thing right here for this twirl tool, right? We'll select twirl clockwise right down here. Yeah, I want it to twirl clockwise in this scenario, but actually I want to reverse this. I'm holding down the Option key and now I'm actually doing a counterclockwise twirl to get this looking really neat and nebulous and pulling that content up. So it's less linear, but we could still see that it reads heaven, right? Again, not a religious broadcast, but we're just having fun with text. Feel free to pick your own novel, whatever the case may be, and now we have all this craziness. So we're doing the Lathe of Heaven is what it's called, by Ursula K. Le Guin. You could watch the movie from 2002, but it's horrible. All right. But Ursula Le Guin's pretty awesome. I think they're actually, at some point, who tries to get rid of racism, wakes up the next day, and everybody's just like a neutral gray tone, which is kind of crazy, right? So that's one of the realities. Let's get rid of racism. Everybody's a neutral gray tone. Me personally, I think diversity, and we should like celebrate it for sure. Okay, we have that done. We see that text. That's actually, change this to normal. Okay, so it's cool that I can do whatever I want to with it at this point, right? Ooh, thank you, Steve. She wrote some of the original Star Trek episodes as well, as she should. That's awesome. I did not know that. So we have this version, which is pretty cool. Let's get rid of this folder entirely, okay, just to kind of clean things up. Some additional things I could do with text, I could treat this like any other image, right? So what I can do with this is I can blend in and out potentially if I want to. So I can add a layer mask right down here, click, I've added this layer mask. I can have that layer mask selected, hit B for brush, I have black as the foreground color, and then I could start kind of painting in here. And what's happening, if I can increase the flow, I can start to eliminate parts of this text if I want to, right? I can start sort of making some of it disappear if I want to, all using that layer mask, showing you that when you have it as a smart object, actually, even if you don't have it as a smart object, this would still work, right? So that's one idea, taking that text. We're still gonna have that other text on top. We can play with some of these other backgrounds that I gave you, right? I could take this. We did a layer mask. Now let's do a clipping mask. So I'm gonna go to this city, I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna select clipping mask, right? So selecting create clipping mask, and now you can see that photo is actually inside of that text. Things get really cool when you start to offset stuff. I'll do a Command J, just duplicate that layer, and we'll have, you know, this offset a little bit and maybe a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna add an adjustment layer, maybe levels. We're gonna change the levels to make it a little brighter. And we're gonna right in here. So the city is actually inside of that text, right? The city is inside of that text. I just want the levels to affect this text as well. Right click, same thing. So you can create a clipping mask for anything. And that's usually what I'll do. That's a little brighter than the background, right? So we can see that background right there, and it gets a little confusing. Not to worry, we could always change that up any way we want to create something interesting. Just work with me here, people. I'm trying some stuff. I'm trying, oh yeah, this is a little bit better. Oh yeah, Command T, flip vertical. Maybe like that, right? This is what I like. All right, and I have 5 minutes, which is great. And again, thanks for joining me. Oh wow, Keith. So anyways, I have this kind of squared away. I've manipulated that text 2 different ways. And I can also turn on this text as well. Yeah. But this is all about distorting text. Let's actually turn on this background. There we go. Cool. Right? Notice how this is getting pretty deep, pretty heavy. A lot of heaviness. Can you put clipping mask into a folder? Yes, you can. You can do anything you want, pretty much. When creating, do you make any adjustments to consider your print resolution? Yeah, for sure. When I go to print, I would want to make sure that it's CMYK, but I might work in RGB initially. Keep in mind the resolution, so this would probably be 300 DPI. This is actually going to go to Instagram, so that's where it's going to end up at the end of the day. But right in here, look, this is my layer mask. This is my layer. I made this a smart filter and I applied Liquify to it. So I'll turn off Liquify, boop, and there it is how it was originally, right? Oh, you want color lookup? I will do color lookup, Cornell, for sure. You know me. But by the way, this text is all inside of this smart object, which is just a separate little file. Again, this, since it's only day 2, day 3, we're covering all the fundamentals. And most of this is about, most of Photoshop's about smart objects, layer masks, clipping masks, adjustment layers. So here I have in here all those different heavenwards. I can go in, I can duplicate it, I can add to this if I want. For each one of these, they're being distorted right up here using this distortion to warp the text. In this case, I don't think I did a fisheye yet. Let's do a shell upper. There we go, something like that. There we go. Just making it kind of crazy. Command T, scale it down, and bringing it right here, okay? Closing that, we could see it added it right here and everything's good. Cool. Hello everybody if you're just joining us today. Where are the smart objects stored? They're actually stored inside of this file. But you could actually check, watch this, I'll double click on this smart object. Here's this, it's a PSB, Photoshop Big. It's basically a Photoshop file inside of it, always travels with it. But you can actually right click, let's take a look at this. If you really wanted to know, yeah, everything lives on your hard drive somewhere, reveal in Finder, right? If you really care to know, it's gonna be some crazy obscure folder. I guess it's not that bad actually. Right in here, that's where it is. There's that PSB. As you can see currently. All right, so there it is, saving that, closing that. I feel like doing more with this. I can duplicate this, Command J. I can change the Liquify in here. I can get crazy, by the way. Let's get really crazy with this. Let's really distort this text, right? And now I've just made this text a pattern, right? And now we have that craziness. That needs to go behind everything else, like so, boom. Like so. Like so, like so. There we are. Made it even more chaotic, as you can see. But I can play with this all day long. You guys get the idea. The nice thing is once it's in as a smart object, I can do anything I want with it. This just gets so interesting. Like, this is what I would do in this case, by the way. Speaking of like design, I would take our character right here. This is George Orr, the guy that could dream up anything. I would come in here and maybe use the object selection tool. Come in here, just select like so, right? Easy enough, it figures it out. It's like, oh, you want to select this guy? There he is. Add a layer mask, he's now cut out. And now he could be like maybe in between there or up here or something like that. But that's basically what I would do, making it look kind of cool, like he has all these different alternate realities happening. And then of course there's our text, which is super hard to read, right? What's the one goal for if you're dealing with type? Is it just needs to be legible. So that's what I do. I'd probably try to make this look darker by throwing an adjustment layer and changing it to something else, right? There we go. I could play with this, changing this to multiply and trying some different looks as well, right? So that looks pretty cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let me know. I'm looking for questions in chat. Thanks for joining me over on Facebook as well. Yeah, just playing with colors right now. Right, even in here. Oh yeah, look at that. Here's one more pro tip as I wrap this up. Right, we're gonna change this to normal. We're gonna convert this to a smart object. We're going to liquify it. And I know this isn't text, but you could do a liquify to anything, whether it's text, shape, whatever, because I want to have this like awesome, trippy look for this, which I love to do. There we are. We'll change this back down to like multiply or something else. Again, just a thought. Maybe it works. It gets a little muddy, but that's what happens sometimes. Things got to get worse before they get better. We'll go with that one. Done. and done. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to export this out as a JPEG. Don't forget to load it up in Discord right here. In the current challenge, post it right there as soon as this loads up. Boom, boom. Thanks so much, everyone. And thanks for watching. We have up next Toby Shinobi, who's one of the best guys ever. So stick around for that. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. We'll be in touch.